I want to go to the economics editor of the Australian newspaper now, Adam Creighton. Thanks for joining us, Adam. Your last day in isolation after returning from Japan, I understand. Tell us about the impact of what the Reserve Bank's done here. A cash rate at 0.25%. We've never been there before, but it is the other measures they've done to support liquidity in the system and the fact that they're going to be buying a lot of government bonds. Are these the moves that are going to do more to protect jobs and protect small business?
Well, look, I'm not sure about that, but certainly, yeah, the cash rate cut, as you say, I don't think is too significant. It was widely expected, and I hardly think in this environment of uncertainty any businesses or households will be investing or speculating because of the uncertainty. It is indeed the bond buying program, and it's essentially open-ended. The RBA hasn't specified an amount of bonds it will buy, so it could indeed be very large if it wants to hit its 0.25% interest rate target. That said, the track record of these quantitative easing schemes overseas is very debatable. I personally think it's more about psychology and convincing households and businesses that central banks are in control. I don't think they have a huge effect on the real economy. This is a crisis in the real economy, not the financial system. And I think the best that we can hope from this suite of measures is that it convinces the general public, it convinces market players that this is going to remain a crisis in the real economy and not spread to the financial system. We have seen a lot of dislocation in wholesale financial markets, a lot of very unusual selling of government bonds around the world, including Australia's bonds, and that has spooked central banks. But so far, touch wood, we haven't seen any panic in the retail sector. We haven't seen any runs on banks or anything like that. And so I just hope that this package basically calms people down a bit.
Speaking of the real economy, we're all worried about big businesses like Qantas, but small businesses as well, trying to keep as many people on their books as possible, trying to keep people in jobs. On the back of these announcements today, the Commonwealth Bank has announced a full 1% cut in business loans. I think small business, or maybe more broadly, this is going to help, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly. Look, I think that will help. It's certainly in the interests of the major banks, I think, to help their customers get through what we hope will be a fairly temporary 3 or 6 month period. Of course, one of the measures of the RBA was this extra $90 billion that banks can access. They can borrow from the central bank at 0.25% and they can lend to businesses. My concern with this stuff, and look, maybe this is more of a longer term concern, is that this is, of course, an enormous subsidy to the financial system. Of course, that's why they've welcomed it so fulsomely. I mean, if you could borrow at 0.25 and lend at 10, that's fantastic. So, kind of it remains to be seen, whether taxpayers ultimately get value for money from this scheme.
Just very briefly, we saw the unemployment numbers for February. The unemployment rate went down, jobs were created. We know that has changed turned on a sixpence over the last 10 days. How badly could the unemployment situation get?
Well, look, the economists that I've been speaking to suggest that the unemployment rate could be 7 or 8% by the end of the year, and that would be another 400-odd thousand, 450-odd thousand people in the jobless queue. That would be very bad. One kind of good thing or one silver lining of the current kind of economy and the way it's structured is that a lot of people that will lose their jobs are in households where someone else has a job, and so it's not necessarily the case that that person that loses their casual or part-time job in the retail or hospitality industry will necessarily join the unemployment queue. They may just be supported for a temporary period by their husband or wife or their parents.
Tough times indeed. Now, you're out of isolation, back into the real world tomorrow, but I've got to tell you, most everyone from the Australians working from home anyway, so nothing will change for you.
No, I'm very determined to go in and print some things out, so I'll be there.
Thanks for joining us.